they can't discuss that, they can't disclose, but sometimes they might come across with, hey, wow, or they might discuss it, hey, we receive a paper like this. Then the other editors say, hey, we also receive a paper quite something like you, lah. That's where they know that, oh, same authors, perhaps. That's one. The second part is that two different journals might send to same reviewer in that particular field, that particular specific field. Then the reviewer would tell the editors of these two journals, hey, I received the same paper from two different journals. Decision will be very fast. Reject. Right? So this is not a healthy thing to do. It's not a good thing to do. And the next part will be how to choose a journal. It depends. Perhaps the universities, the supervisors, and so on would have a better view. Will you choose a high impact? Will you choose a Scopus journal? Will you choose, what sort of criteria and so on, right? A lot more of this criteria. Or send to special issue. Some would target special issue of the journals. Some would target just a normal issue, depend. And whether this is part of the criteria, whether are you looking into the JCR, are you looking into the Scopus impact? Check all this information first, the publication fees, the submission fees, and so on and everything else, right? Some publishers perhaps might put up a very high price. Some might be free. Some might have paid certain amount of money to get it open access and so on, right? That counts in that sense. The next part is that to ensure that there's a right mix also is that these are several things that can be done. Making your name known, from unknown to known, from invisible to visible. Collaborate supervisors, with colleagues, with friends, with some others, present in conference, whether right now is using the virtual presentation and so on. Because sometimes you never know, some journal editors just sit there listening. And they might be interested. They say, oh, this paper is good. Right? They invite you to submit. Some, not all. It happens. I meet few numbers of them actually in some of the conferences that I attended some years ago when we before the pandemic, certainly. Prepare, if it's needed, you do the 3-minute presentation and so on, present or prepare effective poster and infographic and so on, other than just the particular your write-up journal article. Networking, friends, colleagues, supervisors, journal editors, emails, ask them certain things, attending webinar right now, because a lot of things are done online, so you can attend a lot of things online rather than offline where you have to fly there. Rather, right now you don't really have to fly there. These are more connectivity, much more closer right now. The networking are much more interestingly explored with the technological advancement. This one depending on what of the requirement of the university. You write the working paper, some and then get some feedback. And the last part is that you can create your own homepage or website itself. Even though you are just a PhD candidate and so on, you can do it. I have my page, but it's in the Google site. But if not been updated for the past few years. Only my first page is updated. The rest of it are not updated yet. The numbers of information, they're not yet updated. I will try to update. I will update it actually this particular year. I started that one was back in 2012 or 2013 when I did that about 10 years back. When I get this more idea when I come back from University of Cambridge back in 2013, 2014. And I really do that. I really improve I really have more information in my homepage at that time while I'm in University of Cambridge, or because learn that there's a lot of even the student, the PhD candidate, they have their own homepage to promote themselves. To have it's good way in the sense that they have the publication, they work for it, and then they put it up in their page and so on. This is a good way, or to market themselves, right? In a way that we also can do that. If we are in, or even though we are not in academia world, right? Next part, the last part here, right? You have some times for you to ask some question, if any, some burning question that you want to ask. Right, so the way forward, how to move forward. How to get your paper published, as I already mentioned just now. The research must be timely, it must be relevant, it must be evidence-based, scientific studies, well-designed, well written, and so on. These are several criteria, actually, not set by me, several indicators. Although it's very objective, very subjective sometimes. It can be, depending on how the editors measured what is timely, what is relevant, and what is the trend, and so on. So second part is highlight the importance of the study, right? Why we need to do the study. And conduct is a study, and then highlight it in the end of the day. What's the selling point of your research paper? Follow direction, the guide for authors. That's very important. A lot of some papers been previously, that been sent to our journal, be rejected also because of not following a proper guideline. All right, our guideline is there, our template is there. For most of the journal, follow it closely if you want to target that journal. Make sure the manuscript is clear, logical, easy to read. Easy to read is like you're not writing a murder story. You're not writing a mystery murder story, right? You're writing a journal article which supposed to be readable for everyone. Yet, readable for everyone. Just recently, I found, it's shared by my colleague, that a publisher called Frontiers. Actually, they do publish, I think it's a science journal, science-based journal, but they do publish a journal. The journal actually targeted for kids, 12 years and below. The topic are those. It is written. The topic is actually written by kids with some advice, and certainly with some guides from the much more adults people. But then the authors actually mostly are kids writing on kids types of research published in a journal, a scientific journal. But the journal editors, the people behind, are all adults. But they receive papers from 12 years and below, and these people publish certain things that the 12 years and below understand. Oh, have a look of that. That's pretty much interesting. There's I forget the name of the journal, but it's the publisher is Frontier. So what I'm trying to say is that the manuscript should be clear, logical, easy to read. I always tell a joke, or I always tell myself, I should when before we publish the paper, we should send the paper. Rather than send to English editing and whatnot after. Before we send for publication, we should ask our spouse to read, our wife, our husband, perhaps our kids, to read the paper first, and ask them, do you understand or not? Before we send out. I know perhaps if they're not in academia, they will say, what is this for? That's the whole point. Easy to understand. Do you understand the thing? Right? So that's one of my points. Right? Be willing to accept reviewer suggestion and way to improve. Short, concise, stick to the point. These are several things I already mentioned just now. In the conclusion, publishing take time, so plan ahead. Required good planning, writing, finding the right target. Certainly patient. Don't wait too long. If your paper is rejected, send it out to other journal. Take time with revision. Most of the time revision would take a month, maybe or less than a month, or some journal give 2 months to revise your paper. Never argue, but do not hesitate to make a point if you think that you are right. Have a very strong case. And the last part here is, not my last slide here, publish, share, grow, and flourish. Certainly. This is like kind of things that I've learned for the past 20 years. Like in my academia world, or I put it in the so-called format when I started off my PhD back in 2001. There's 10 points there, right? From what I have in my experience. Treat academia as part of life rather than work. If you are in academia world, set small goals along the way. Big goals, long-term goals, no problem. But set small one steps and so on. Number 3, publication sustainability is important to build our academic life, our academia world. Publication sustainability means that you must publish along the way. So this year you publish this much, next year you publish this much, and so on. It must be sustainable in that sense. Every publication have their own story. Share your story. Each publication have their own story. Perhaps from how you publish, how you write, who you meet, how you collect the data, and so on and so on. Like how we write our thesis, the thesis itself, right? Like I told you, I write my thesis. I started off my PhD in 2001 and finished up in 2004. A lot of story behind, which I think perhaps if some of the next event I'll be able be able to share that part of the story. Right? Collaborate with others, right? Of publication. Of course, also collaborate beyond just publication. Maybe some other things. Not necessarily just publication. Becoming friends, becoming good friends, becoming and so on and so on. Doing research together and so on. Be grateful, celebrate others' success, and enjoy the journey, right? And number 7, I always believe in this. I always remind myself, ask what you have done and contribute for the university, the academia world, and the country rather than the other way around. Don't ask why my country don't provide me this, why my university don't provide me this, why the other university provide me this. Should ask the other way around. What have you contribute to the university? Right. Number 8, very much related to what we are doing. Also, if a part of academician, being academician is just part of the life. Enjoy life outside academia too, right? Enjoy time with family. Enjoy extracurricular, which is number 9. Extracurricular activities. It can go for from anything from just reading books or just watching TV, hiking, exploring, and everything else other than academia, publishing, writing paper, teaching, and so on. Never stop exploring. Always be foolish, hungry for knowledge, be it informal or formal, right? To move forward, this is what I leave it to you. My last slide here. Collaboration, research, publish, grow, and flourish, right? With that, yeah, this is like another line of it. And with that, thank you very much for the time, for the invitation. I hope that I've given some inputs to all of you. If you have any question, anything that you want to ask or clarification, you always can drop a question in the chat box as been mentioned, or just unmute yourself. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ivan Lau, for sharing the experience of 20 years experience in organizing the journals of 16 years, and also sharing not only, I think this is a very informative thing, is not only relevance to the PhD students as well as an academic as well. So we also learned about how much actually we contribute to our universities so far. And then of course, there are so many things that how to about journals, the process, the things, the difficulties of the journals, and the process, the things. So if anybody, any participant over here have any question that would like to raise up, to like to clarify with Dr. Lau. So before that, I think, okay. So I have one question. If no, actually is, I hope you don't mind to answer my question. Okay, so because of over here, it's actually basically how actually selection for journals actually basically is we always complete the papers. Okay, my style is actually always I complete the paper first. I don't bother to which journals I'm going to send. I will complete the papers that basing on my style, my writing style, my way. So because I'm trying to maintain my own identity, my way. So that is the reason why. So where how actually usually that you pick suitable journals for submissions? How what is the straightforward criteria? Might be our participant also would like to know that how you use the very simple way that guide them where to submit. Of course, not only like IJBS. Apart from that, okay, okay.
All right. Thank you for that. Very very interesting paper. Like I say just now. My perspective is that either you target a journal first before we write. We say I want to publish in this journal. Okay. Like for example, you read. If our target is actually like for example like American Economic Review, for example, then you say I want to publish in this in this journal. It can be one day in the future. But then you follow the style, you see what they write, you know what they write, what not they write, and so on and so on. So you have a target already. So basically, I answer half of your question, but the other half of the question is that when you, from your perspective, I also do that. I do both way. Sometimes I target a journal. Say I want to send to this journal. For example, I want to publish a paper in not so high lah. Just for example, just Singapore Economic Review, SER, Singapore Economic Review. So I target that journal. I want to send to. So I understand them. I look at what they publish. I look at what they publish for the past recent years. Same thing goes to AER just now. You look at what they publish in the recent years and so on. Then from there you make your own decision. Okay, this is what I should write to get into this journal. Right, so that's the criteria. If you have already set that, the second part is that the other side of the coin is that if you don't have any target, you just it's okay. I write my paper first, and then I find a home after that. It can work that way also. So after you finish out a paper, then you see whether your paper, the research fits in any of the journal criteria. So you can look into I guess right now, everyone everyone are wanted to publish in a much more impactful journal, a much more higher impact journal. Or if not, we go a little bit lower to just a Scopus, a Scopus-based journal. So that's the criteria already. So you write the target for the target journal, or you write first and then you target a journal. I think in the end of the day, you have the criteria set there. Let's say you want to target, even though you say, okay, I already finished up my paper, and then after that, I only look for the home, you still need to look for where you want to send, right? Depending on your title, depending on research, and where to look for. Normally, one of the key things that I normally do is I look for the reference. Now, who you cited. The reference there is very important. I think that's the main thing that everyone should, or especially the candidates, the PhD candidates here, look into the reference. You cited who? From which journal? Perhaps I can target that journal. After you finish your paper, you say, okay, I can try this journal because I cited them maybe more than the rest. I just give that as a criteria. But it can work that way. It can work also the other way. Right? I think from that two perspective. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thanks for the inputs for the students to know about actually where to. At least it's basically what I understand is after we complete the paper, so basically we need to refer back to the references sections, most cited journals or most journals that we are most referenced. So then that would be more likely to submit. So might be Dr. Gore have any issues that want to ask? Anything?
Issues. Okay, I just want to say hello to event. Okay, wow. Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while. I didn't see you.
Yes. The first time we met is in UBM while you're doing your PhD. I'm also doing my PhD again, and well,
Yeah, 20 years have passed.
Okay, okay. And I remember you have the long hair, you know.
Sure do.
Yes, okay. I won't be able to recognize you, you know, if it's not today's webinar.
Yeah, I changed through.
Yeah, event. Okay. I know, very, very good talk. Okay, very, very good. I'm sure our student will learn a lot. Okay. I look forward for your next talk, your PhD journey. You know, okay, so perhaps next time we can invite event to join, give us another talk on your PhD journey. I'm sure there'll be a lot of story to tell, to share with the students.
I think everyone, I think yourself also, you and Tang here also have very interesting PhD journey to talk about. Mine one is already, my one is already
even
very...
a short question, okay? Now when you talk about one of the reason that journals might reject the papers because not enough contribution to the existing literature. Maybe can you elaborate a bit more or give some examples, okay, where you mean not enough contribution to the existing literature? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the question, Dr. Go. This one is a pretty hard question to answer. But anyhow, I'll try my best to respond from the perspective of from the journal. Normally, we receive. Sometimes I myself also receive some comments, rejection comments, says that the contribution might be very minimal, or the contribution is not. Should contribute more to literature. That's why the editor reject the journal, because it's something that have been done. You just repeating it again and again without any much of the contribution. So anyhow, this is a very subjective storyline from my perspective. So certain editors also sometimes would say that all right, you don't have much contribution. Because they look in this perspective, they say that, okay, this is what have been done in the literature, this is what you do, perhaps you innovate just maybe one point, but this 1 point is not enough for them to change, not to change the world, but to change that the significant part of the literature, or that's what they mean as contribution or novelty in that sense. So that's one of the questions normally always the famous question will be asked to any PhD candidate. What's your contribution? What's the contribution of to the body of knowledge? What have you done? And same thing goes when you write a research paper. What's the contribution? So that's why again that I say just now in my the beginning just now, we have a baseline model. For example, I just use this as an example. We have the baseline model in terms of statistical point of view. Baseline model, and then you have another model. The next model perhaps is to improve the baseline model. That what have been tested in the literature, or what have been available in the literature, something new in that sense. So highlight that new things, highlight that contribution, but do not over-highlight. Just highlight the contribution, what have been done in literature, what's the gap, and then after that, this is my contribution, this is what I added up to the literature, and it's significant. In that sense, not significant in terms of statistical, not necessary, but significant in the sense of contribution to the knowledge. That's what I think some of the journals rejected, because of we fail to explain, we fail to write in a way that convince the editor says that this is a very important contribution, although it's a small contribution. We treated that as something big. So something to sell, something new, something something significant in that sense. That's from my perspective. Thank you very much, Dr. Go.
Okay.
There is a question, if you can.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome.
The last question.
Yes. Welcome, Doctor. Nice to meet you. Actually, we enjoyed with your presentation. Actually, my question is: there a problem with the current status of journal publication? And also, if you can explain briefly, how can publish the literature review my thesis, on the thesis, we need that the chapter literature review. Some students need to publish this chapter. This is different about journal, public research, or the same with public research. Research. There is difference between literature review or public research if I need to publish my literature review. Thank you.
Okay. I hope I understand your question. You have two questions, is it? The second one was about literature review. The first question was about?
Is there a problem the current state with the current schedule for journal publication?
Is there any problem with the current
Yes,
publication?
Yes.
I don't get your question. What actually you want to ask?
Okay. For example, sometimes we face a problem scope or scope in the journal, or question with contribution or with methodology like this.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. I think I get what your point is. So let me try my best to respond. Perhaps my response not necessarily the model answer. It's just from my own experience. The first part is that like I put up in my the slide just now. Most of the time that paper get rejected because of certain issues. Maybe not interesting. The not appropriate method, as what you mentioned. Yeah, there's some of the common rejection issues, especially for journal publication or contribution, like what Dr. Goh mentioned, and the significance of the study and methodology, the proper way the write-up is served, and so on and so on. There's a lot of reasons behind, but most important one are these. So how we can get about this to ensure that we try to minimize all these things. So how we ensure that so we have to publish most of the time that if you are just a starter to want to publish, so get the help from your supervisors, get the help from the other lecturers perhaps who can actually read the paper to ensure that these are free. You have a contribution is there, is proper, your methodology is there, the flow is there, and so on. Get someone that have much more experience to help along the way, right? And so on, to ensure that you'll get that publication. I hope I answer you that part. The second part is that can you publish a literature review article? The answer is yes. There's so many literature review articles right now, and it becoming. I think I used the word in Malaysia. I might be wrong in the way, but this is what I look at for my perspective again. This literature review write up becoming a trend for the past at least a year or two in Malaysia here. A lot actually numbers of researchers, numbers of from students, from lecturers actually write a literature review based article. But how to write it? Can you publish your literature review? Yes, but not in the conventional way of write up. That's one. Yes, you can publish that conventional way, but in the different way of write up also. You can have a look of a lot of literature review types of journals. There are, for example, if you are in economics, you can have a look of Journal of Economic Literature, Journal of Economic Survey, and a lot more other related journal to that. In finance also, they have numbers of related journals. Business also, they have numbers of related journals that publish literature review based article. A lot, actually. And the methodology that they use as of right now, there are numbers of methodology from SLR, systematic literature review, up to bibliometrics, up to visualization, up to meta-analysis, and so on and so on. Those are methods used to analyze literature review. So surely you can publish your literature review article, but with proper adjustment and proper modification. Right? Thank you very much.
Okay, so thanks for Dr. Lau for giving very informative input to the students as well as to us. So thank you very much. I think the session 1 is at the end. So thank you very much for us to
Thank
thank you very much for
Thanks, Bill.
okay.